Hello soulmates, welcome to the Honest Academy. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this trendy sleeve, and of which I've tried to replicate it, as you can see, and it's looking exactly the same once you fix it. So we'll proceed to taking the measurements. So here I'm going to show you how to take the measurements, starting from the midpoint of your chest or your bust down to where you want the sleeve to stop. It could be at the zip area, it could be at the armhole area, just where you want it to stop. But in this case, we don't want it to be too fitted, so that you can at least raise your hand up. So we're going to either make the tape fall or add allowance after taking the measurement. So here we have 21, and we're going to add so much allowance to make it up to 30 or thereabout. Just what can make you to feel comfortable to raise your hand, move your arm around and all that. So you can still take it over from the shoulder, just play around anyhow you want it. Just make sure you get your measurements, and then you can proceed to taking the width of the sleeve, how big you want it, like the wideness of the sleeve. All right. So on the other hand, you can also decide to fix it just like you see in the thumbnail, the other sleeve, starting from the armhole, the front armhole to the back armhole. You can take the measurement, but then we still want it to fall. So here, instead of making it 11, I'm going to make it up to 16 or 17. Although we're not going to be making this particular small sleeve like one of those in the picture, but you can use illustration of the bigger one to create the small one. Okay, so let's proceed to cutting. So here I've folded my fabric into two, right? Then I'm going to take the measurement of what I've got from the bodice. The length of the measurement here is 16 on fold, that is 32 or thereabout. Okay, you can also take your own measurements. Then you have the width of the sleeve, how big or how wide you want it to be. You can take the measurements there, right? And then we fold it over again to get the shape of the sleeve. You can see that the sleeve is not that straight, it looks a bit curvy, so we want to take fold it and get the accurate measurement and cut it exactly the way you want it to be. You can still retake your measurements here to be sure that you know what you're doing. So I'm going to cut it, and then at the edge here I measured like 2 inches, like 2 inches or so. After taking this measurement, that's not all. You can decide to recut it if you notice that it has any issues, right? So I'm going to mark it straight and cut in a slanted form because all the measurements are not equal. So I'll cut it as you can see in the video. So after cutting it, I went ahead to open it up, and then you can notice that it has this wide funny shape at the other part. So I'll have to trim it off, at least to make it a bit rounded kind of. So you feel free to do whatever you want to do. It does not mean that once you cut it once you must get it. You must not get it once. You can actually um do it over and over again until you get what you want. I'm still reshaping it. And I think after now I'm still going to reshape it again just to get what I want. So this is just one part of the sleeve. I'll have to double it, and that is the other fabric for the turning. So to make the sleeve strong, I'll have to add things inside. You can use color gum, you can use paper gum, and you can use wadding. Okay, whichever one that is close to you is going to be fine. If you need it to be that smooth, you can use wadding, but here I'm going to use this paper stay. Of course, the stay is going to be on the lining and not on the main fabric, like not on the pieces that will be seen outside. This will be on the piece that will be inside the sleeve, like the lining of the sleeve. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. So the boning is to give it more structure to make it stand. Only the paper stay cannot make it to stand. So I'm going to iron. I've ironed the paper stay on the lining part, as you can see. So like I said before, I might still go ahead to trim it if I notice that it is too long or it is too wide, based on what I want. This may not be what you want, so you can go ahead and do it exactly the way you want yours to be. So I just noticed that it's not exactly what I want, so I try to reshape it. Of course, I'm going to use this to sew a dress, and that dress is in the process. So when I'm done, or maybe not in this video, but you're sure going to see the dress. And I promise you it's gonna look wow. I hope it comes out well though. All right, so this is what we have now. This is what we have now. So the next thing to do is to sew our boning to this part. We're going to keep ½ inch allowance at the edge before sewing the bone, so that it will be easy for us to join the lining and turn it inside out, to join to the main fabric, right, and turn it inside out. So this bone is going to be sewn into 3 places: the 2 edges and at the center of the piece. This will make it to have enough structure to make it stand. Only the paper stay cannot make it to stand. Okay, so this is what we're going to use to turn it. So the sewing of the bone to the lining, or whenever you're sewing a bone, it's usually at the edge of the bone. As you can see, you don't sew in the middle of the bone. If you sew in the middle of the bone, your sewing machine might not even sew it properly, right, because it's quite rough. So you sew at the edge very neatly, make it stay at a place and not to move around. That place is created for you to sew on the bone. So here I've finished sewing. As you can see how it's standing so perfectly well. Okay, the boning is just what gives it structure, and of course this is a Regilene bone. You can always sew on it. If you have the plastic, all you have to do is to create a channel and pass it through, like a casing, and pass it through, because you cannot sew on that one. So I'm going to sew the other parts on top of it, just the way you're seeing it, and turn it inside out. Okay, we're going to sew on the allowance that we kept. Sew it on the allowance that we kept and turn it inside out. We're going to do that shortly. So after sewing it, this is what we have. Trying to turn it inside out, it's not really that easy, but you have to do it. And given to the fact that I have nails on my fingers, which I'm not so used to, so I'm just struggling to turn this out. But you can do it. You can do it, right? So you have to force it in and make sure it's out. So here we are done forcing it and bringing it out straight to the ironing, at least to give it that good look. So once you turn it, make sure you iron it properly. If you have a steam iron, that's fine. Please use a matching thread. Use a matching thread. Don't be a bad soulmate. Okay. So the ironing is going to make it look good, at least well balanced. All right. You can see what we have there. You can see what we have there. So beautiful. So you can finish the edge either with a bias or just fold it and stitch to where you want it to be. I was still going to show us the outcome as in when I'm fixing it to the dress, but that is taking time. So on this part, you're going, if you want it to be very smooth or smoother than this, wadding will do a perfect job. Like light wadding, this is a thick one. Light wadding will do a perfect job to make it very smooth, like have this nice effect. Or you can double your cotton stay, and that will make it very smooth. Like if you know, if you sew very well, you notice that using paper stay makes your sewing to be rough, right? So you can see what we have here. I'm trying to attach it to where I want it to be, and you can see how it's standing so well, so beautifully well. Okay, so you can, if you have any decoration, any applique, any beading, you can just go ahead and do it, and use an applique to cover up the edge where you fixed it with your hand needle to the dress. Okay, so but now I think I'm still going to remove it to give it that very hot ironing so that everything will smoothen out. So feel free to practice.